Whether you like it or not, LiveScope is a part of the fishing world now. So I'm gonna go out today, I'm gonna show y'all guys a really bunch of cool settings and what I like to do with my LiveScope, and hopefully it'll help y'all out. So I'm gonna talk to y'all about something a lot more than just the settings on the screen. It has a lot to do with me, is my settings down here at the bottom of my trolling motor, at the shaft of it, where the transducer actually comes out. So a lot of people like to run their transducer. They actually will run it, you know, more so level with the bottom of the trolling motor. And I love taking my transducer and giving it that backwards click, and sometimes even another click. I mean, you can actually run it up a lot. And what that allows you to do is see your bait splash on the water. So if you're fishing in shallow water, or you know, anytime you got a lot of fish that's floating really high and you want to see your bait land, just take your notch, you know, take your transducer, click it back a notch or two, and it'll help you out a lot with seeing your bait. So I usually like to run around 100 foot out, 90 foot out sometimes, you know, just depends. If I'm fishing a little bit shallower, I like to back it up. You know, sometimes you can even run it into 80, you know, it just depends on how shallow you really want to get to start fishing with it. And I like to run my depth range, depending on how deep I am. If I'm like 10 or 12 foot, I like to run it, you know, about 10 foot past that. 10 to 15 foot past the depth that you're usually in, and it usually will give you a good picture. So if you go a little bit shallower, say, you know, scoping in 4 or 5 foot, you know, I like backing it down to 15 or 20 feet. And, you know, the deeper I go, I just keep knocking it down deeper and deeper, you know. Some other settings I like to do, I like to kind of keep it simple on my gain. I don't, you know, usually run it too high. I keep it about 70% on the gain. You go into your, let's go into our sonar setup. I like to run mine on my noise reject on high, ghost reject medium, and off. That's just what I like, personal preference. I don't really know the difference between the ghost reject, noise reject, and this, that, and another. I just know that's my personal preference, and it works for me. So hey, it might work for y'all too. If y'all are having problems with your LiveScope and you think that you're not getting a very good picture, you can actually go into your installation. And you go in here to, look at that big floater right there. That looks nice. I want to catch it. And then you go to calibrate your compass. And what you're going to do is hit calibrate, begin, and you take your trolling motor foot and you actually just twist it nice and slow. You're actually supposed to kind of turn the boat, but you can do it also like this and get it up past about 65, 70%, and then just hit cancel, done. And that actually will clear up, reset your box, your black box, and it'll usually give you a lot clearer picture as well. Another something that I like to do, I'll actually come in here to my, let me see, I got colors, and I actually run my colors on night colors. So this color palette that I'm using is actually yellow. So let me show you this. If I can run this on day colors, you go back and look, check out that. So that gives you a whole completely different look, and you're trying to run these settings, you're like, man, I'm not really sure about this yellow color palette. Well, you can actually come in here, go to your sonar setup, actually go back, go to your power button, go to your color modes, and turn it to night colors. And it gives you a whole completely different color palette, a whole completely different look. And you can do this actually with, you know, a lot of different ones. You can go in here and go to your appearance, go to, you know, different colors. Like your amber is going to show up different on night color than it will on daytime colors. So it's pretty cool. You can get in here and you can play with different things. You know, there's your blue. It shows up a little bit different as well. So, you know, get in here and play with it and get the one that you like. So what's really cool about LiveScope is you can break down water extremely fast. And the best way that you can do it, you point your LiveScope over there, and if you see him over there, he's there, and if he's not, he's not. And I'm telling you, you know, sometimes you gotta hunt for him and you gotta pull him up, but if you start getting your LiveScope dialed in and you get used to it, and you know what's a crappie, what's a bass, what's a catfish, and put some time in with it, you can really get to cover a lot of water a lot quicker, and it helps you find and locate a lot more bass a lot faster. But you know, it's not just as easy as just hopping in a boat and looking at your LiveScope screen. Like, you gotta also think about like how a bass swims in the water column. You know, a bass always sits level in the water column. So if you look on your screen and you see this fish and it's, you know, swimming and it's kind of nose down, that usually is typically a catfish or a carp, because they're usually typically bottom feeding fish and they're usually nose down feeding, swimming in the water column. Well, a bass usually swims vertical, up and down vertical, and it stays horizontal in the water column. So if you look at that fish and that fish stays vertical the whole time and it goes up and down, that's gonna be your bass. And if you see one nose down swimming, more than likely that's your trash fish. So it's just a cool little tip. It'll help you out find and locate a fish a lot quicker, a lot faster. All right, guys, so check this out. We got us a little shallow stump. We got us one sitting right up here on top of it, just shining. Let's see if we can't get him with this 95. Throw your jerk bait over there, throw past it, get almost to him, get his attention. Here he comes. Got him. Check that out, that was cool. Huh. It wasn't no bass though. It's a big old slab. Oh, look at that one. That's dinner right there. Check out that. Big old slab daddy on the 95. One of the biggest things that I feel like a lot of guys struggle with LiveScope is the fact that it's not really like, they'll get caught up. And I used to do this a lot. I used to be really bad about this. Just get caught up throwing at dots. And it's like you just see a dot on the screen and it's just like you're throwing at. And in reality, more than likely that fish is, you know, it's a small fish. It's not really that big of a fish. And, you know, you gotta like kind of mentally tell yourself, it's like, all right, don't throw at nothing but the big ones. And it's super hard to do because, like, you know, it's fun, man. I love catching fish myself. Heck, I'll set out in the pond and catch 112 inches all day long and love it. But, you know, in a tournament setting, it's all about the 5 biggest fish. So, like, getting those 5 biggest ones, man, you just gotta think, it's like, all right, I gotta throw at the biggest one. So it'll help you a lot. Just focusing on those bigger fish will help you get that big weight at the end of the day. So whenever I get up in here shallow scoping around, you know, it's one of the hardest things to do is really scope shallow, I feel like. And I feel like that's one of the biggest secrets in bass fishing is being good at, you know, being able to scope in all different levels, you know, deep, super shallow. I like getting up here, and a lot of times, you know, sometimes you just throw at stuff and you don't see fish. You might just see like a little flash, but it's not like a whole big giant dot sitting there. And a lot of times you're just making a lot of casts, but you get a more reaction bite up shallow usually. So like, you know, it sucks because you got to make a lot of casts, but also at the same time, those fish that's up there shallow, they're up there usually wanting to feed. So they usually will bite a lot quicker and easier for you. You know, I kind of have a different way of looking at LiveScope. You know, I feel like people can say it's cheating or whatever it is, you know, looking at the fish, but dude, catching them on it, that's the hard part. Like if you can cheat the code on figuring out how to make them bite every time, that'll be the key. But catching fish off LiveScope takes a lot of skill, and the guys that are, you know, super scopers, they put in a lot of time on the water and a lot of time looking at that graph. Well guys, I hope that helped you out a lot, looking at the settings, checking out the scope, knowing how the transducer is kind of tilted up and down. You know, it's just kind of stuff that I've picked up over the years of fishing. I hope it helped y'all out a lot. If y'all have any questions, go down in the comments, let me know, and I should help y'all out and get back with y'all and go catch some bass.